Episode 32, The Time Inside Your Head. Why 5 minutes can feel like forever. In the previous episodes, we pushed time almost as far as physics allows. We asked whether time really exists, whether quantum mechanics might create time, and whether clocks are measuring something fundamental or simply comparing one change with another. But now we need to bring time back to the one place where every one of us actually experiences it, inside the human mind. Whatever time may be in Einstein's equations, quantum mechanics, or cosmology, the only time we ever directly feel is the time inside our own heads. This is the time that stretches when we are bored, shrinks when we are absorbed, slows during danger, and seems to vanish when we are lost in thought. 5 minutes waiting outside a dentist's surgery can feel far longer than 5 minutes talking to an old friend. 10 minutes standing in a queue can seem endless, while an hour spent doing something interesting can disappear almost without warning. The clock insists that these periods are measured in the same seconds and minutes, but the mind disagrees. That disagreement is not a failure of intelligence. It is a clue that clock time and psychological time are not the same thing. Einstein is often linked with the famous comparison that sitting with someone delightful can make an hour feel like a minute, while sitting on something painfully hot can make a minute feel like an hour. Whether he said it in exactly that form is less important than the truth behind it. Physical time has not changed, but experience has. The wall clock continues at its regular pace, yet the mind stretches and compresses duration according to attention, emotion, and meaning. This is why human time is so strange. We do not simply record time like a machine. We interpret it. Psychologists and neuroscientists have found no single clock hidden neatly inside the brain. Instead, our sense of time appears to be built from several processes working together. Attention plays a major role. When we are bored, we often turn our attention towards time itself. We look at the clock, wonder how long we have been waiting, and count how much longer remains. Because the mind is monitoring time, time becomes more noticeable. And because it is more noticeable, it seems to pass slowly. In contrast, when we are absorbed in a conversation, a film, a game, a piece of music, or a practical task, attention is directed away from time. The brain is busy with meaning, movement, reaction, and thought, so the passing minutes are not closely watched. They seem to disappear. William James, one of the great early psychologists, suggested that we may not perceive time directly at all. Perhaps what we perceive is change. This idea fits well with ordinary life. Sit in a silent room where nothing changes and time soon becomes heavy. Without movement, conversation, novelty, or interruption, the mind has little to process, so it may turn inward and begin watching the duration itself. Now imagine a lively gathering where people are talking, food is being served, stories are being told, and new information arrives continuously. The mind is full. It has no need to stare at time, and hours may pass before we notice them. Driving gives us a useful example. On a long, empty motorway, the scenery may repeat itself for mile after mile. The lane markings, engine sound, road signs, and rhythm of movement become familiar. The brain continues to monitor the task, but much of the information is repetitive and not worth storing in detail. Later, large sections of the journey may feel almost missing. You know you drove them because you arrived, but memory contains very little from those stretches of road. By contrast, if something sudden happens, a car swerves, traffic stops abruptly, or danger appears, the brain instantly sharpens. Attention rises, emotion increases, and that brief moment may later seem far longer than it actually was. This same principle helps explain why fear can make time feel as though it slows down. People involved in accidents often report that events unfolded in slow motion. A skidding car, a falling object, or a sudden threat may seem to stretch into a much longer experience. Research suggests that the brain may not literally speed itself up like a high-speed camera. Instead, frightening events are remembered with unusual intensity. The mind records more detail because the information may matter for survival. When the event is recalled later, the richness of that memory makes the moment seem longer. More detail gives the impression of more time. Pleasure and absorption can have almost the opposite effect. When we enter what psychologists often call a flow state, we become so involved in an activity that self-consciousness fades. A musician playing, a painter working, a craftsman shaping wood, A racing driver concentrating on a circuit or a person solving a difficult problem may all experience this. The task demands attention, but not attention to time. The person is not bored, waiting, or counting minutes. The mind is fully engaged, and because of that, time seems to pass quickly or disappear altogether. This does not mean the brain has stopped working. In fact, it may be working very efficiently. It simply has no spare attention left to watch the clock. Emotion also changes the shape of time. Anxiety can make the future feel heavy because the mind keeps anticipating what might happen next. Waiting for test results, waiting for a phone call, or waiting for bad news can make minutes feel swollen with possibility. Excitement can make time seem too short because the mind wants the moment to continue. Grief can make time feel broken, with ordinary days seeming unreal while certain memories become painfully vivid. Anger, fear, happiness, and sadness all alter the mind's sense of duration because they change what the brain notices, what it stores, and what it treats as important. There is another important distinction. Time can feel different while we are living it, and it can feel different again when we remember it later. A boring wait may feel long while it is happening because attention is trapped in the present, but years later it may seem to have vanished because almost nothing memorable occurred. A holiday may feel short while we are enjoying it, but years later it may seem much longer because it contains many memories, places, conversations, meals, sounds, and emotions. In other words, the mind may judge time one way while events are happening and another way when it looks back upon them. This helps explain why childhood often seems long in memory. For children, the world is full of firsts: first school, first holiday, first bicycle, first pet, fear, first friendship, first disappointment. Each of these experiences creates a marker in memory. Adult life can become more repetitive. We travel the same roads, perform the same tasks, eat similar meals, and speak to the same people. The brain becomes efficient at ignoring repeated information because there is little value in storing the same experience again and again. As a result, weeks and months can seem to vanish. It is not necessarily that time is speeding up as we age. It may be that memory is storing fewer distinct markers. This is why two people can live through the same clock time and carry away different amounts of remembered time. One person may experience a day full of novelty, emotion, and challenge, while another experiences a day of routine. The clock gives them both 24 hours, but their minds do not preserve those hours equally. One day becomes rich and detailed, the other becomes thin and almost invisible. If this continues over years, one person may look back and feel that life was long and full, while another may feel that decades disappeared with alarming speed. So perhaps there are several kinds of time operating in human life. There is clock time, measured by watches, atomic clocks, and calendars. There is body time, measured by heartbeats, hormones, tiredness, hunger, and biological rhythms. There is now time, the time felt while something is happening, shaped by attention and emotion. And there is remembered time, the time reconstructed afterwards from memory. These are not separate universes, but they are different ways the same duration can be measured. The clock may say 5 minutes, the body may feel stress, the mind may experience waiting as 10 minutes, and memory may later reduce the whole thing to almost nothing. A true mind clock, if such a thing could ever be built, would not look like an ordinary watch. It would need to measure attention, emotional arousal, novelty, memory formation, bodily state, and perhaps even the amount of information being processed. It would have to distinguish between time felt in the moment and time reconstructed later. A dentist's waiting room might register as long while we are sitting in it, but short when remembered years afterwards. A dramatic accident might register as only a few seconds in clock time, but remain enormous in memory. A routine month might disappear, while a single life-changing day might remain vivid for decades. This brings us to the heart of the episode. The time inside your head is not just a poor copy of clock time. It is a different kind of time altogether. Clock time is regular, external, and shared. Psychological time is uneven, internal, and personal. Clock time is useful for trains, satellites, science, and appointments. Psychological time is useful for survival, learning, memory, and meaning. The brain is not trying to be an atomic clock. It is trying to decide what matters, and perhaps that is why time feels so deeply personal. We speak as though time belongs to the universe, and in one sense it does. But the time we actually know is built inside consciousness. We do not feel atomic oscillations. We do not feel space-time curvature. We do not feel entropy increasing in the abstract. We feel waiting, urgency, boredom, fear, excitement, regret, and memory. We feel joy ending too soon and discomfort lasting too long. In that sense, human beings do not merely live in time. We manufacture a private version of it inside the mind. In the next episode, we will continue this idea by asking how time changes when we look back. Thank you for watching or listening. If you've enjoyed these episodes, please like and subscribe. It helps the channel grow, and it encourages me to continue asking questions that perhaps have no final answers. After all, if our memories really do shape the length of our lives, then perhaps the most important moments are not the ones measured by clocks, but the ones we carry with us long afterwards. If the next episode is already waiting for you, simply click on it now, and let's continue discovering time together.